Ooh, it's your boy Big Country. Hopefully I didn't get my man boobs all up in the camera or whatever. Shout out to Robbie Cox. I think it's Robbie Cox or Cox. He's a good old boy. Oh. He's the first person to actually ask me a question on my Facebook, so thank you. So what he was asking about was Swift cameras, Swift installing cameras in the trucks. So there's a couple things that Swift is doing. One, they're installing two-way cameras in the truck. So basically, it focus out on the road and it'll focus on the driver. A lot of people don't like that because they feel it's an invasion of privacy. Me personally, I really don't have a problem with it because my phone's ringing. Oh, I'll call you back, baby. Okay. Yeah, I don't really have a problem with it because once I stop driving, I can cover it up. You know, you get great duct tape, you can close your curtains or whatever. There's a lot of misconceptions about the camera. Swift is not live streaming you driving. They're not like, oh, let me look at you while you're driving. No, they're not doing that. What it is it basically records for a total of, I want to say 10 to 20 seconds. And then it re-records on itself. So basically, if there's every 10 seconds, it erases and re-records on itself. The only time that it actually become active or Swift will come involved is if there's a critical event, meaning hard braking, swerving real hard, or anything where you're basically Qualcomm will say critical event. Then that's when the camera will kick in, and what it do, it'll show 10 seconds before the critical event, 10 seconds after. That's why I said 20 seconds. It'll mark that, and then it'll save it, and then Swift can, depending on the severity of the critical event, can access that and see what was going on. So basically, like some of the stuff that happened was like a guy hit rear-ended a car, right? So he said the car slammed on his brakes. Well, the car didn't slam on his brakes, it was traffic in front of him, but he was eating a bowl of cereal and driving with his elbows and wasn't paying attention, and by the time he looked up, the car was already right there. Boom, he hit the brakes, hard braking, critical event, boom, cameras triggered, and then so it showed him eating, driving with his elbows, and it showed 10 seconds from when he hit the brakes to the back of the car. Then it also shows one where the car came and cut the truck off. He hit the brakes real hard because the car just came around. For the simple fact that you can see what's actually going on when these moments happen is where this camera is going to benefit you as a driver, and it's going to benefit the company. I mean, their insurance should go way down. They're going to end up saving money. You're going to end up saving your job, because anytime something happens when it comes to a truck, it's always the truck's fault. It's never really the excuse me. It's never really the four-wheeler's fault. It's the trucker's fault, because you have an alien license. You're supposed to be able to see and predict. You know, you're supposed to be able to anticipate. You're supposed to be able to analyze. I'm trying to think of words with A. You're supposed to be able to analyze. You're supposed to be able to assess. You're supposed to be able to acquire adequate assumptions on the area surrounding your vehicle. I don't know if that worked or not, but that's what that camera's for. Now, there's already company. I've seen cameras in CR England. I've seen cameras in a couple other companies, but I don't know if they're two-way facing. So that's where a lot of people have a problem, because it's showing inside the cab. You know, if it was live, they would not dare live stream what goes on in the cab, because they're gonna see me just stroking. You know, I ain't been home in like 4 weeks. I'm not poking on a lot lizard because of all the diseases out there. You know, so if they were live streaming, they were like, let me check on Big Country's truck. Boom, all they gonna see is, you know, dick in hand and smartphone in hand and a smile on my face and a hard sock. I'm kidding. Halfway though. I'm only kidding halfway. Every now and then. Listen, also, I am going to start putting lotion on my hands before I start filming. I understand how ashy my hands are. The thing is that I'm out here, I'm by myself, so I don't really feel the need to lube up, especially if I might go a day or so without a shower. Lotion can get kind of yucky. So, you know, if I'm going out somewhere, then yeah, I'll put lotion on. But if I'm just in my truck like right now, maybe doing a 34 or whatever, I don't need it. I have it available. Now, what you do need lotion and you do need baby oil. Let me tell you why. This is just a random rant now. When you start driving, your elbows, my God, man, my elbows went from smooth to like fish scaly, and they actually start to hurt because you're always on your armrest. They're always on your armrest. You know, you rest your arm, your elbows are always on your armrest. So that's so you want to put a little baby oil and lotion, and now they're actually a lot smoother. And I haven't really been putting lotion on them. I put lotion on them probably like once a week. A little baby oil and lotion, rub it in. You know, since as black folks, I had to go get me a little cocoa butter. Go give me a little cocoa butter. Anyway, what's the other thing I want to talk about? The camera. Oh, the automatic. So yeah, Swift is switching all his fleet over to automatics. Now everybody like, I don't want no automatic. I don't want no automatic. There's pros and cons to having an automatic. Automatics don't have guts, but like if you're doing a lease purchase or something like that, if you're in a manual, you know what? Let's see. I'm gonna pause the video. Hang on. Okay, I was gonna show you my miles per gallon for the trip that I made up here, but I've been sitting for a little over 13 hours, so the mileage is off. But listen, if you're doing a lease and your truck is getting 7 miles to the gallon and you're paying $3 per gallon, that's $4 of profit in your pocket. If you have an automatic, you can get up to 10 to 11 miles a gallon. So that's $6 to $7 or more in your pocket if you have an automatic. Like I said, they don't have any guts. They don't pull for shit. They're 13-speed automatic, but the money you will save in the long run and the space that you will gain for not having a stick. Now, I like driving manual because the simple gratification of going from gear to gear does something to me. It makes me feel some type of way when I go from 6 to 7 and I go from 40 to 55, especially when I'm like bobtailing or empty, and it just, that shit feels so good. Now, also in these newer trucks that Swift have, they have all kind of sensors. Like me, I like to ride the white solid line. That's like my comfort zone. I know I'm far enough away from the people on my driver's side if I'm riding the white line on the passenger side. The sensors that they have now, from what I hear, is if you go on the line, it starts to beep and stuff like that. Some people said you can cut it off. I don't know. So I wouldn't necessarily mind driving the automatic. I just wouldn't like that lane detection BS. That will bother me. I don't even mind the camera because when I'm driving, they're gonna see me, eating if I was to get into a critical event. But I've gotten to one critical event, and it was because I was bobtailing. It's because the police cut me off to get on the freeway, and I went from 45 to like 5 to let him get around because he turned his lights on right behind me and just sped around me, So yeah. And then here's the thing too. Listen, if you get a new truck and it's an automatic, especially if you're a student, honestly, I feel like it can hinder you a little bit because 90% of the trucks, maybe 80%, because I think US Express always been automatic. 80% of the trucks that's out here are manual. So if you go from school, hop into, you get out with the truck with your mentor, you hop into a truck and it goes from driving the stick to an automatic, you're gonna lose that skill. And then if you wanna go somewhere else and they have a manual transmission, you're just gonna be shit out of luck. So it could be technically like a trap. But I mean, there's pros and cons to it all. Like I said, if they put a camera in my truck, I wouldn't care. They're not live streaming me, they're not checking in on me. if I have a critical event, then I understand what's going to happen. So, and then there's no way to get around it. Like, I can't just know I'm about to have a critical event and like toss my burrito to the floor, because I know the camera is going to record 10 seconds before it and 10 seconds after it. So yeah, that's the deal with the cameras. A lot of people saying, you know, if they put a camera in my truck, I'm quitting, and this and that. A lot of companies are starting to do it because they you know, something happens on the road, they need to see, well, why did the driver let that happen, if it was a case where it was on the driver's side, you know. So it covers both ends. Again, like I said, at night when you're and they actually showed a video of it, of how it worked, but that was a while back. Yeah, I really wouldn't care. You know, I eat while I drive. Yes, I do. I eat, I vape. You know, do I take my hands off the wheel? I'm not gonna say if I do or not. But, you know, it's just a safety, another safety feature, something that can protect you and something that can definitely hurt you. You know, kind of like a busted condom. Like, yeah, it did what it's supposed to, but when you out there doing what you ain't supposed to and that condom busted, you don't pull out, you like, oh, it feels too good, you keep going, and next thing you know, you peeing razor blades. I think a lot of people been there. I went there once, I ain't even gonna lie, and she was pregnant and gave me the pack, and I had to get shot in my butt, cleared it right up, and after that, I'm like, I'm done. I always wanted to see what pregnant thing was like, and it hurt. It was good though, but it hurt. Hey, just gave y'all something personal. Boom. Let's see. Like I said, if y'all have any more questions. Oh, okay. So this is something that I think will be a good debate: lease versus company. So if your company, I don't know how close this is to my face. If your company, the reason why, like, a guy asked me a good question: why would people go company instead of going lease, like with Pride or something like that? I say I'd rather go company first to get my feet wet. Once I get my feet wet, know what I'm in for, know what I need, know how to handle the truck. When I first started, I was not able to drive 600 miles. I'll drive 200, maybe 3, and I had to take me a nap. I had to go to sleep. Now I can drive 600 miles, no problem. I didn't know what it's like to, what tools I needed for the truck, what necessities I needed for the truck, how the truck handles, backing. So if you're doing lease and something happens, the company's covering it. If you're a company driver coming straight out of school and you bump a trailer, you get into an accident, anything like that, while you're still getting acclimated to driving such a large piece of equipment, the company can have your back and cover that. Once you get comfortable, get X amount of time under your belt, and you're like, yeah, I can handle this, then go lease. That's how I looked at it. He says he's making about $3,000 or $4,000 a week, and then after fuel and everything take home, he's taking home about $1,400. Now, from what I understand with lease, is if you're doing lease, you don't pay taxes, they pay you straight. So you will have to pay for your taxes. So they tell you to take 25 to 35% out of every check, and then you don't have any benefits. You know, you're your own business. I mean, basically what it is. And you're at the mercy of your driver manager. So, you know, if you're a company, at least you can get an idea on how to handle driver manager. You get an idea on how to handle the equipment. I just feel like it's better to go company first and then go lease. So that way, once you jump in that truck, you know how to make that money, and you're mentally, physically able to get out there and run. But if you're coming straight out of school and you jump into that lease program, you might not have a good driver manager. You don't know how to properly use your hours. You know, you're on duty for 30 minutes of fuel. You know, you're on duty 45 minutes for a pre-trip, stuff like that. Little just stuff that can add up. I mean, let's say if you're doing a mile a minute and you're on your pre-trip for 30 minutes, that's $15 that you've already missed out on. You know? So, once you get familiar with the company, not even with the company, once you just get familiar with the laws, the regulations, permits, a lot of companies you have to buy your pre-pass and stuff like that. Just a lot of little things that you will pick up being a company driver, and then you can jump over to doing lease and be more profitable than you would coming straight out of school, because I didn't know it's not going to work when you're a lease option, because you're signing those papers. You're paying that truck note. Again, Swift lease option, you pay about $9.90 a week for your truck and insurance, and then everything else after that is going to be profit and fuel for you. And I mean, $9.90, you could just think of it like you take a load for 1,000 miles, that'll cover your truck note. Take another load for 1,000 miles, that'll cover your fuel. Take another load for 1,000 miles, money in the bank. Depending on how you're able to work that, then you can go faster. The lease trucks go 68, but if you're going 68, you're burning more fuel. So you gotta learn how to conserve that fuel. If you're thinking about doing lease, the lease option, I would suggest practicing your own truck at 62 miles an hour. Check your miles per gallon. Check how many times you're in the top gear over idled. Because I mean, if you got a manual and you're revving and you're going down the road for a half a mile, but you're over 1,700 RPMs, you're burning fuel. You got to back that down and just slow it down, depending on your time restraint for getting that load there. So, and that's something that you just learn. You just learn. Like here, this is what it'll look like. I'm gonna show y'all. Because I've been idling. Let me cover up that flash. Where's the flash? There it is. Beep. Okay, focus. Okay, so this will be your money maker. Miles per gallon. So right now it just says 3.8. Like I said, I've been idling, as you see. So I was in top gear, so that's 62 miles an hour for 80.94% of my trip here. It says over idle for 85. So that 6% is because when I go down the hill and I'm coasting, because you do 62, go down the hill, you pick up speed, you coast it. As long as you don't go over 72, you won't really get dinged. So it's long idle because I've been idling. Let me see. Performance. Violations. No violations. But yeah, so you will have to get familiar with this right here. Okay. See, it doesn't say over speed because I made sure it didn't go over 72. I was on cruise control for 38 because I had my foot on it because I was getting turned up right there. So that's a long explanation about lease purchase. Not even Swift don't have lease purchase, it's just lease option. So hopefully that gave y'all some insight on a variety of things. I kind of went on random talking about beating my meat in front of cameras and elbows like fish scales, but I'm sure there was some tidbits of information in there for you that you found helpful. So I talked about the camera, I talked about lease, and I talked about I forget, I just had to watch the video over and then title it accordingly. I know I should do the videos one by one, like talk about lease purchase, but it's kind of like whatever comes to my mind, y'all get, as you clearly see. So this your boy Big Country, aka Therightbrotha. Remember, whatever company you go with, once you get off the truck with your mentor and you take your first load, hashtag the trucker's life. Take a picture. You don't even have to take a picture of the truck. Just take a picture of some scenery. That's if you go to Instagram right now and put in hashtag the trucker's life, you'll see pictures that I put up. So hopefully we can get a community of drivers. You don't even have to be friends. You don't even need to know each other. It's just posting scenery that you've seen. Like I passed by the Hall of Fame for Football Hall of Fame and could not get a picture of it because I was driving. I honestly wanted to pull over on the side of the road on the freeway, get out, take a picture of it, because that's not, believe it or not, there's millions of people that haven't seen that's out here. You know, even though you won't get the grasp of it because you're not physically there, but you'll get to see you get to see the ideal of the concept of this building and the football players and the Hall of Fame and stuff like that. It's pretty cool. So it's your boy Big Country, the Wright Brother. Take your first load. While you're out there, hashtag the Wright Brother. And for all the people that in orientation, good luck with your mentor. All the people that's going to school, good luck. I hope you pass all the physical and driving and permits and all that. For the people that's getting off the truck with their mentor, waiting on their truck, congratulations. And for all the people that have already taken their first load, what's up, driver? Holla at your boy, driver. Come on. All right, peace.